Hello, grade 9 students. We're now discussing the law of sines and law of cosines, which are very important laws in solving oblique triangles. So let us now apply those knowledge, the law of sines and law of cosines, in solving problems that involve oblique triangles. For the MELC, solves problems involving oblique triangles. For the learning objectives, we have number 1, recall the laws of sines and cosines. Find the unknown parts of an oblique triangle. Apply the law of sines and law of cosines in solving problems involving oblique triangles. Okay, let us first have a recall. Okay, what is an oblique triangle? It is a triangle which does not contain any right triangle. So it can be acute or obtuse triangle. So an acute triangle is a triangle whose angles are all less than 90 degrees. Example, 60, 60, 60. That's an example of an acute triangle. What else? Ito, 80, 30, 70 degrees. All the angles are acute. An obtuse triangle is a triangle in which one of the angles is more than 90 degrees. Example, 140, 40 or 150, 30. A total of 180 degrees. So to solve oblique triangles, use the law of sines or law of cosines. The law of sines is easy to follow and very useful in solving oblique triangles when you know the following information. Sa case and sa case, two angles on one side are given. Two sides and an angle opposite one of these sides. S is a case or the ambiguous case. Yan, ito yung formula ng law of sines. You know that already. Sin A over A equals sin B over B equals sin C over C. Okay, very useful in solving the missing sides of oblique triangles. Okay, we can also use get the reciprocal. A over sin A equals B over sin B equals BC over sin C. Pwede rin yan. So let's have an example. This is a review. For sa case, two angles are given, 42 degrees and 70 degrees. Find the measure of angle B, side B, and side C. So yun, for side B, for angle B, you just subtract the sum of 42 and 70. That is equal to 112. 180 minus 112 is yun, 68 degrees dito. 68 degrees is the measure of angle B. And in trying to solve for side C, we're going to use the formula sin A over A equals sin C over C. Substitute, sin 42 over 6 equals sin 70 over C. Okay, cross multiply. Sin 42 times C equals sin 70 times 6. Divide both sides by sin 42. Then, yun. This is now the final answer. 8.43. Okay, and solve for side B, we use the formula sin A over A equals sin B over B. Substitute, sin 42 over 6 equals sin 68 over B. And then, pang shortcut, pwedeng use your calculator. Just, okay, cross multiply and then multiply 6 by sin 68 divided by sin 42 and you come up with this answer. What? 8.31. Answer to the nearest hundreds. As a case, two angles and the included side are given. So since two angles are given, angle C is already 180 minus 100. The sum of 60 and 40 is 100. So 80 yung angle C is 80 degrees. Okay, after knowing the third angle, which is 80 degrees, we can now be able to solve for the missing sides. Let us solve for side A. Use the formula sin A over A equals sin C over C. Substitute sin 60 over A equals sin 80 over C. But C is 7, so multiply 7 by sin 60 divided by sin 80. Using your calculator, the answer is 6.16. Okay? And to solve for side B, we use the formula sin B over B equals sin C over C. Substitute sin 40 over B equals sin 80 over 7. From here, multiply sin 40 by 7 divided by sin 80. In your scientific calculator, the answer is 4.57. Example 3, given two sides and an angle opposite one of these sides. Yan. Angle C is an obtuse angle, and the opposite side should be greater than the other given side. So there's exactly one solution for this. Okay, to solve for side A, to solve for side B and angle B, angle A, we use the lobe signs. This is the formula to use to solve for sine A. I mean the angle A. So sine A, yes, sine A over 10 is equal to sine 120 over 19. From this formula, you can be able to solve for angle A. Yes, cross multiply 19 by sine A, 10 by sine 120. In your calculator, sine 120 times 10 divided by 19, ito yung answer. Ito yung answer, 4.4558. Then in your calculator, press shift sign, 4.4558. 27.12 degrees is the answer for angle A. And since two angles are already known, 180 minus 27.12 minus 120 degrees, that will be the measure of angle B, which is equal to 32.88 degrees. Now to solve for side C, use the lobe sign. Sine B over B equals sine C over C. Sine 32.88 divided by B equals sine 120 over 19. Cross multiply. Yon. Then multiply 19 by sine 32.88. Divide mo siya ng sine 120. The answer is, your calculator, 11.91 units. So let us now apply our knowledge in lobe signs and lobe cosines by solving these word problems that can be solved using the lobe signs and law of cosines. Number 4, you are standing 10 feet away from a certain leaning tower. Okay, find the ladder length that is needed to reach the third floor of the leaning tower if the ladder is placed where you are standing. The angle that is formed by the tower and the ground is 108 degrees. Yan, yun. And the angle formed by the tower and the third floor is 20 degrees. Okay. What are we going to solve here? Find the ladder length. This one, B, side B. So if it is an if it is an obtuse, 180. So angle B is 108 degrees. So if angle A is 20 degrees and angle B is 108 degrees, side A is 10. Okay. Let us try to solve for side B only. Side B lang ang solve natin, no? Yun. Our formula will be sine A over A equals sine B over B. So given angle A, sine 20 over 10 equals sine 108 over B. Cross multiply. Yan, B times sine 20 equals 10 times sine 108. Divide both sides by sine 20. That will be the answer for B. 27.81 is the length of the ladder in feet. 27.81 feet. Number 5, a triangular flower bed has one side 8 feet long and one side 11 feet long. The angle opposite the 11-foot side measures 87 degrees. Find the measures of the other side and angles. Okay, so let us solve for angle A, angle C, and side A. So I think we can solve the other parts using the law of sines. Let's solve for the measure of angle C. Sine B over B equals sine C over C. So sine 87 degrees all over 11 is equal to sine C over 8. So just multiply 8 by sine 87 divided by 11, then press in your calculator shift sign. Yan. Shift sign 0.7263. The answer is 46.58 degrees, the measure of angle C. And since two angles are already known, 180 minus 87 minus 46.58 degrees, the answer is 46.42 degrees. And last, let us solve for the measure of side A. Sine A over A is equal to sine B over B. Sine angle A is 46.42 degrees over A equals sine 87 over 11. So in your calculator, para mas madali, sine 46.42 times 11 divided by sine 87. That will be the value of A, 7.98. So kompleto na yung missing sides. Okay. Next, a pole tilts toward the sun at an angle from the vertical, and it casts a 22-foot shadow. The angle of elevation from the tip of the shadow to the top of the pole is 43 degrees. How tall is the pole? Okay, we're trying to solve for here, side A. Study tip: when solving triangles, a careful sketch is useful as a quick test for the feasibility of an answer. Remember that the longest side lies opposite the largest angle, and the shortest side lies opposite the smallest angle. Yan. So from the figure, note that angle A is 42 degrees, and angle B is 90 degrees plus 8 degrees, so 98 degrees yung angle B. So the third angle is 180 minus 98 minus 43. So 180 minus 141 degrees is 39 degrees. Yun yung measure ng angle C. And from that, you can be able to solve for side A. Okay? Kasi ang goal natin dito is to find the length of the pole. So sine A over sine C over C. Sine A over A equals sine C over C will be our formula to use. Will be our formula to solve for side A. So substitute sine 43 over A is equal to sine 39 over 22. Then 22 times sine 43 divided by sine 39 is 23.84 using your scientific calculator. And I've said that will be the length of the, or the height of the pool, 23.84 feet. Okay, let us also solve problems using lobe cosines. Okay, so these are the formulas for the lobe cosines. A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC times cosine A. B squared equals A squared plus C squared minus 2AC times cosine B. C squared equals A squared plus B squared minus 2AB times cosine C. So when do we use lobe cosines? When we are given two sides and the included angle, or the what we call the SAS, and three sides are known, SSS. Let's have here side, angle, side are given. Therefore ang gagamitin the law that we're going to use is the law of cosines. So to solve for side C, we use the formula C squared equals A squared plus B squared minus 2AB times cosine C. Yeah, substitute the given values. Then 64 plus 144 minus the product of 2812, 192 times cosine 80. Then get the square root of both sides. The answer is 13.22. That's the measure of side C. Okay, how about the angles? Still, if we solve for the measure of angle, we can still use A squared plus B squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC times cosine A. Substitute, and from there you can be able to solve for the measure of angle A. Other subtract, divide both sides. Yan. Finally, dito na tayo. Cosine A equals 0.8027. So to solve for angle A, press in your calculator shift cos or shift cosine 0.8027. The answer is 36.59 degrees. And to solve for the third angle, ganun naman, 180 minus 80 minus 36.59, or 180 minus 116.59 degrees. The answer is 63.41 degrees. And for the three sides, given three sides, okay, so again, we can be able to solve for the three angles using the law of cosines. The sides are 10, 15, and 20. So for angle A, we use the formula A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC times cosine A. Then substitute the given values. 15 squared 225, 10 squared 100, 20 squared 400, minus 2 times 10 times 20, 400 times cosine A. Add 100 and 400, 500. Then subtract 225 minus 500, that is negative 275, equals negative 400 cosine A. Divide both sides by negative 400. That will give you cosine A equals 0.6875. Then from here, to get the value of angle A, shift cos in your calculator, shift cos 0.6875. So the answer is 46.57 degrees. For angle B, our formula will be B squared equals A squared plus C squared minus 2AC cosine B. 10 squared equals 15 squared plus 20 squared minus 2 times 15 times 20 cosine B. 100 equals 225 plus 400 minus 2 times 15 times 20, 600. 225 plus 400, 625. 100 minus 625 is 525. Or maybe transpose 100 here. 625 minus 100, 525. Transpose negative 600 to the left side becomes positive 600 cosine B. Divide both sides by 600. The answer is 0.8750. Then to get the measure of angle B, shift cos 0.8750. The answer is 28.96 degrees is the measure of angle B. So for the third angle, just subtract 180 minus 28.96 degrees minus 46.57 degrees. The answer is 180 minus 75.53, 104.47 degrees. Number 3. Christine borrows flying from Orlando to Miami, distance of about 220 miles. In order to avoid the bad weather, she starts her flight 12 degrees off course and flies on its course for 75 miles. How far is she from Miami? So, even from the figure, angle A is 12 degrees, side B is 220 miles, side C is 75 miles. So what are we trying to solve here? So since you know the two sides, how far is she from Miami? She starts her flight 12 degrees, of course. Punta siya doon. Okay. So since you know the two sides and included angle of the triangle, yes, SAS. So since SAS yan, we're going to use the lobe cosines again to solve for side A. B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine A will be our formula. 220 squared plus 75 squared minus 2 times 220 times 75 times cosine 12 degrees. Then add and subtract. The result is 21,025. Then get the square root both sides. So A is equal to 145 miles. So Mrs. Barrows is about 145 miles from Miami. That is now the answer. A triangular field has sides 500 feet, 450 feet, and 720 feet. Find the measure of the angle between the sides measuring 500 feet and 720 feet. So what we're trying to solve here is angle A only. Angle A only, so we're going to use the formula A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC times cosine A. Substitute, yan, 450 squared equals 120 squared plus 500 squared minus 2 times 720 times 500 cosine A. Yan, simplify. 2,500 minus 768,400. Divide both sides by negative 720,000. Yan. So, we have here. Ayun. So, the cancel yan. Magiging positive. Both are negative, so positive yan. 0.7859. Shift cosine again in your calculator. So the answer is 38 degrees. So that's now the answer. Round up your answer to the nearest degree. So the angle between the sides measuring 500 feet and 720 feet is 38 degrees. Number 5. Two roads intersect at an angle of 100 degrees. Okay. Mildred's mailbox is 8 meters from the intersection. Jack's mailbox is on the other road and is 12 meters from the intersection. How far is Jack's mailbox from that of Mildred's? Mildred. So what we're trying to solve here is the length of B. Okay, since the given information are the side angle and side. Two sides are not included angle. So we're going to use the law of cosines to solve for B. Yon, a squared plus c squared minus 2ac times cosine B. Substitute the given value, simplify. Yan, 208 plus na yan kasi negative times negative, positive. So, magiging 241.33. Get the square root of both sides. The answer is 15.53. So, Jack's mailbox is 15.53 meters away from that of Mildred's. So, summary. So, application of law of sines and law of cosines. When do we use law of sines? When we are given asa. Two angles on the included side. Two angles on a side, AAS or SAA. Two sides and an angle, SSA. When do we use law of cosines? When we're given three sides and two sides and an included angle. So exercises here. Can we solve this orally? I don't think so. So I'll just tell you the answer. Number 1, Juan has 3 sticks measuring 19 cm. She lays down to form a triangle. Find the measure of the angle formed. Okay, law of cosines ang gagamitin nyo dito. So, law of cosines kasi 3 sides are given. So, the answer is letter B. Okay, kindly check. Show your solution and submit in the messenger. For number 2, 50, 40, 35, find the measure of the... Again, law of cosines here. The answer is 44 degrees. Given problem number 2, again, law of sines yan. Ay, law of cosines. Law of cosines pa rin ito sa number 4. C is the answer. 53 degrees. Ang number 3 is 33 degrees. Now, in number 5, an aircraft tracking station determines the distance from common point O to each aircraft. If angle O is between the two aircrafts, 49 degrees. The distance from the point O to the two aircrafts are 50. Find the distance between the two aircrafts. I think this is still law of cosines kasi two sides and included angle are given. The answer is C. Yon, 54.4 kilometers. And then try to screenshot on this part and then send your answer and with solution in the messenger. 1, 2, and 3 problems. Apply the law of sines and law of cosines. Okay, screenshot 1, 2, 3. Okay, answer is 7.2 miles for number 1, number 2, 200 feet, number 3, 2.94 miles. Okay, show your solution in the messenger. Thank you very much for listening. Goodbye and congratulations.